right. All right. All right. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome again. Again, my name is Libo Valencia. I've been teaching secondary math for the past 15 years. I forgot to mention, I have a master's in pure math. I have a master's in administration. I'm not interested in becoming an administrator. My passion is in the classroom. But when I was doing my first master's in pure math, that's when I stumbled across GeoGebra, and it was basically a graphing calculator for me at the time. This was like many years ago. So before we get started, or as we get started, I want you to take a look at this picture. I don't know what your feelings are towards like Star Wars. I feel like everyone should like Star Wars. But if you don't, it's okay. I'm not here to judge you. But I want you to take a look at this picture and tell me, or like think about how are these the same but different. And then you can discuss. I love that we are in groups. My classroom is always like set up in groups because like students are like the best resources for one another. So take like 30 seconds or 10 seconds, and then if somebody brave could please share how are these the same but different. What's what? You can start like they are the same because, or they are different because. What do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
They're the same because they're both machines.
They're both machines. Yes.
And they're different because one can talk and one can't.
Which one can talk?
The gold one.
You go, how do you know?
It's like fans.
Exactly. See, very nice. So they're both machines, and then one can talk, and one cannot talk, right? Yes. But do they talk? Oh, okay. I feel like you raised your hand. Did you?
They're the same, that they're inanimate objects, they're not human, different colors.
Nice. Very nice. Yes.
They have two legs, but one walks and one rolls.
Nice. Yeah. So that's like the GCF, right? Like they have something in common in math terms. Anything else that you notice?
Left is yellow.
Left is yellow. The right one is white. Anything else?
Both of their names have a combination of letters and digits.
What are their names?
C3PO is on the left and R2D2 on the right.
Nice. That's a true fan. Thank you. So yes, go ahead.
They're both toys, but one's clearly better because he's a Lego.
Nice. Both Lego pieces. Yeah, there you go. So, well, I don't know if you're familiar with same but different. I love, like, this is one of the routines that I love to start class with because it's very inviting. I noticed, like, some people knew about Star Wars, but even if you didn't know about Star Wars, you could say, oh, they're different colors, they both look like toys, they have a, so it's very inviting. Things like this for a long time in my career, my do now was always like, usually like a question from like previous lesson, and or some skill that they needed for like today's lesson. But nowadays, like this is one of the routines that I start with. I want to just quickly show you that there is a website called Same But Different Math, where you could find all these things like already made for you. Same but different math, and so there's like different grade levels. It goes from like early all the way up to like high school. It's called samebutdifferentmath.com from Dr. Suluni, and this is free. And like one of the things that like we as teachers have in common is that we're all like time poor, right? Like nobody has time to, like these are already made. Let me just show you a couple of examples. If you go like for example algebra, you already have some things ready to go. Like how are these the same but different? So these are things that you can start the class with, and they're very inviting. You start hearing everyone's voice, everyone starts jumping in. So this is something that I will highly recommend. Okay, so let me go back to my presentation. That was just the do now, like the icebreaker. You should have, but by the way, the research I think now says that we shouldn't call it do now. We should call it like an activation. I feel like all the departments, like English department, have a problem without saying like the do now. So now I changed it to activation because it's like more user friendly. So on to like this session, on this workshop, we're gonna start getting started with GeoGebra. Again, my name is Libo Valencia. I'm pretty active on X, formerly known as Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel. You could find me with the at Mr. Valencia 24. Everything that I share, everything that I find useful, I'm always sharing on Twitter. I teach, for the past 15 years I've been teaching high school. I had the opportunity to teach everything from like remedial algebra classes all the way up to college. Same thing at the college level, college algebra, pre-college, college. I teach whatever the full-time professors don't want to teach. Like, oh, we need somebody to do college algebra, you do that. We need somebody to do pre-college, you do that. But I enjoy it. And unofficially, I'm also an elementary school teacher. See, I'm not licensed, but I have daughters. I have a third grader, the good one, and then I have a little one in pre-K who listens to nobody. So I have 2 daughters at home. That's what happens, right? You get tricked. The first one was so good, we got tricked into having a second one. So today I want to talk to you about how to get started with GeoGebra. But before we do that, I want to thank everyone for being here today. We are on break because we get midwinter break, Mark and I. But I don't know if people are free, but you're here today, right? You're giving up your time to learn something that you could hopefully take back to your classroom and is going to benefit your students. So for that, thank you so much. Like nobody knows, right? Like the struggle of teachers, but all the teachers do know. So thank you so much for being here. And my goal or our goal today is to give you some tools, give you some ideas that you can take back to your teachers, take back to your classrooms, and then your students can benefit from it. So this is sort of like our agenda for today. Brief introduction, why GeoGebra, setting up an account, very, very important, finding resources, lessons, applets, and then use some ideas for using it with your students. Okay, so a little bit about my role for GeoGebra. I'm officially a GeoGebra ambassador, which means like I use it a lot. I'm a passionate teacher who believes in understanding math, develop critical thinking skills. I love using all different kinds of technologies. Last year and the year before, I consulted for GeoGebra in like trying out some of their new applets, some of the new things, and that was something that I really, really enjoyed. And as I mentioned, I use GeoGebra in like all the different classes that I teach, whether it's like algebra, like solving a system of equations, or like visualizing like the slope of the tangent line with my college students, both at the high school and college level, and also like visualizing the distributed property with my third grader at home. So GeoGebra has like such a wide range of opportunities. And I want to be honest with you, like the first time that I said like, I had a conversation with the GeoGebra people, they said like, oh, I said like, why is this free? Because like as somebody who was born and raised in Colombia, I'm like, why is this free? Like if you have this good product, why is it free? Because you're always like, okay, like what if I use it and then you have to pay for it? I don't want it. But what was explained to me was that, oh, well, you're not using it for commercial purposes. You use it with your students. If you were a book company that wants to use it, then they pay for it. I was like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. So it is free for teachers, it is free for students. You don't need a GeoGebra account to play with GeoGebra, to access the resources. However, it is highly, highly recommended, and Monique is going like this right now, that you get a GeoGebra account because it has a lot of benefits. You could pretty much like organize and save the resources. So what exactly is GeoGebra? Why GeoGebra? Is a mathematics software for all levels of education, whether it's pre-K or college and beyond. It's a free online platform with over 1 million free resources. I am fluent in Spanish. GeoGebra is such a vast community. So you have people in the US, people in Europe, people in South America, people all over the place using GeoGebra, and there's resources that are free, that are ready to go. It used to be the case that the resources were like community-based, but now GeoGebra recently started making their own resources. So I think Monique is going to talk about that later. I feel like it was a couple of years ago that GeoGebra started GeoGebra Classroom, and that is when you can like take an applet and then make it like a part of your lesson, make it a part of the do now, make it the consolidation, or it could be your entire lesson. And this was particularly beneficial if you have a remote class and you could like see where everyone's doing, what everyone's progress in real time. All right, so the first thing that I will highly, highly recommend is everyone connected to the internet. So if you already have a GeoGebra account, then this part is, did everyone connect to the internet? Are you guys okay? You good? Yes? So let's set up a GeoGebra account. So when you go over to the GeoGebra website, you're going to go to geogebra.org. So let me just show you. So when I go to the GeoGebra website, see, this is what I get because I'm already on my account. But if you don't have an account, you're gonna go in, sign in, and then you're going to create an account. So if you don't have a GeoGebra account, like this is the time for you. There's many benefits in creating an account. Like the main benefit for me is being able to save and organize resources. So you'll have a bunch of different options. You could do it with Google, Microsoft Office, Twitter, or you could just do an email account.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I have several GeoGebra accounts for different emails because it's connected with your email. Yes?
Right, yes. I have my account set up with my email address.
How many accounts do you have?
I can only have one account. I'm trying to like synchronize everything into one. Anybody that needs help setting up an account, it's pretty user friendly. Go to geogebra.org and then geogebra.org. Very nice. So click in and then you can click and sign in, and then you can create the account. So you could do it with email address. Is everyone okay? You guys account wise? You okay? You guys okay account wise? You okay account wise? Yes. Perfect. Very nice. All right. So whether it gives you a lot of options where you can, once you create an account, let me go back and show you like some of the benefits of creating an account. Alright, so I have my account with my email address. So like once you sign in, if you notice, right now on the upper right, you see here my little GeoGebra picture. So right now, if you set up an account, it's gonna have an initial, probably the initial of your first name, so you know that like, you're in your account. So what are some of the benefits of setting up an account? Now if I go to profile, you can like customize your profile, right? You can do a little background picture, and this is what I want to show you. So I teach at Mercy University, I teach at Lehman College, in addition to like my full-time job, so like I work a lot. So what I want to show you is I have like some elementary resources. So if you click in here, here is like stuff for my, see like the Powerpuff Girls. Who doesn't like the Powerpuff Girls?
So if I may?
Yes.
You can ask questions too. Okay, sorry that I have a question.
Of course.
So, do you keep somebody's else apps in one of these? Like if you find something.
Yes. So if I
keep them on in the folders as well.
You can, sometimes what I do is I make a copy. See, usually what I do is I make a copy of the resource, right? I make a copy of the resource and then I like give it like the code for the class that I'm teaching. So like for me in my school, like 405 is pre-calc. So like I make a copy of the resource of the applet and then I save it into the folder. So for you, once you're in your account, if you go to create, you could create a folder. We might have time to talk about like activities and books, but you could create folders and then start organizing your the resources that you find. So this is highly, highly recommended because then it's a lot easier for you to go back and find out exactly what you need. And notice I have elementary
Access to your folders.
geometry. What was that?
Other people have access to your folders.
I don't think we have that feature yet. Where GeoGebra, I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think it has that feature. Yeah, I don't think.
But you can find his stuff.
You could find like, yeah, Libo Valencia, but not.
Is it organized in the folders? So his organization is impossible to.
Right, you wouldn't be able to like see this. I wish you could share a folder. That would be amazing. But I don't think there's an option. So this is one of the main advantages. Yes.
The problem with GeoGebra for me
It's finding stuff.
is
Yes.
to find stuff.
Yes.
And I liked it, I did that, but the folders, thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, because that.
Because the book is too structured.
Mm-hmm.
On the folder you can just.
Right, you could like put stuff in there, Sometimes less. So like in here, I have all the different resources or like some resources that I found. So what I would recommend maybe right now, create a folder for one of your classes. What we'll do is, and by the end of the lesson, by the end of the session, you'll have like a couple of resources for a particular class, and then I'll show you how to add them into that particular folder. So if you're in your account, like you log into GeoGebra, go over to profile. It's gonna look a little different for you, so just create a folder for one of the classes that you teach. So you're gonna create folder, I don't know, let's say that I'm gonna call it Flora Conference. And then I'm gonna create, and then what should happen is, you're gonna see it there. So once I find a resource, I'm gonna make a copy of it, and I'm gonna save it into that folder. Does that make sense? Creating the folders it saves time, because then you can easily go and find whatever it is that you're looking for.
There are no subfolders.
I don't think so.
Yes, you can.
Oh yeah, no, yes you can. I haven't used them. I usually just have them by the class. I haven't had the need to like do a subfolder. But yes you can. Alright, so let me keep going and give you, so at this point you should have an account, and hopefully, potentially you have a folder where we're gonna save some stuff. So one thing that you could recommend, like that I will recommend, is like starting with GeoGebra Classic. See, like I feel like GeoGebra, like you have in mind, like GeoGebra. When I started using it, it was like GeoGebra Classic. So that's like my first love. I always go back to GeoGebra Classic because I know how to find things in there, how to do everything in there. So GeoGebra Classic, if you go over to like the calculators, you have a lot of different options. You have a 3D calculator, scientific calculator. I usually just go into GeoGebra Classic. I find that it's very user-friendly, so let me go over to GeoGebra.
Can you show me how you
Yes,
do that?
so go to GeoGebra,
Alright.
and then you see the dots in here. Okay. And then in here you have all the different options. GeoGebra Classic being I feel like this is a good starting point. It's very clean, it's very like user-friendly. So you have, this is like a graphing calculator, right? So if you're new, if you were to grab y equals, I don't know, 1/2 x plus 3. There is your equation of a line. So it's very intuitive, it's very easy. You could also grab something that is not like solve for y, for example. I could say y squared equals 9, and now I have a circle. And then if I like go over this, it might show me, right, like the equation or the equation for the circle. You could change like the different colors. Maybe I can change this into an inequality, and then it's gonna shade it in and change like the outer, right? Now it's like a dotted line. So it's very user-friendly, very intuitive. Students can download an app, a GeoGebra app on their phone. So if they don't have a graphic, I don't know what the requirements are in Florida, but like in Europe they have to have like graphing calculators for like state assessments. And not all kids have them. You have that problem too?
No, I have a question.
Yes, question, go ahead.
Go to your GeoGebra page.
Okay.
And just I suggest everybody find Libo and follow him if you didn't done it yet, because some people don't know how to do it.
That's
So
okay.
how to find you?
Oh yeah, you can follow a profile.
Yeah, but
You can follow a
how to
profile,
find
so-
you? How do we find you?
I think if you just
Libo?
I think it might be or Mr. Valencia
And
for you.
I'm pretty sure on the conference page, there's a link to his.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
No, no.
Yes, there is.
Oh, yes.
We need to communicate.
I put it there.
Oh yeah, it is there. So GeoGebra.org at Mr. Valencia 24. Well, this is what opens up for me. But let's see.
No, we have you. Okay.
We got it. Okay.
Everybody has him? Is it everybody who wanted
What? I have no idea what you're talking about. What page? Where's the conference page?
Yes.
Oh, so the conference page is.
There should be a video.
Yes, if you do, or you could, if you go on GeoGebra and do Florida GeoGebra Conference 2024.
Oh yeah, Florida.
Yeah.
24.
Conference.
So let's everybody be on the same page.
Yeah, there you go. If you could Google it, and then it's gonna show you the book. So if you do Florida GeoGebra Conference on the search bar, it will bring you to the conference, and then you have all the information.
And if anything is missing, like you want someone's contact information, it's on there, but actually, I don't have
So as I was saying, the GeoGebra Classic is probably like a good place to start. It's a graphing calculator, and I want to show you a few things that I've done with my students, because GeoGebra is an amazing tool to like bring math concepts to life. So I remember in one of my geometry classes, we were doing, this is just an idea, we were doing the topics of right triangles. So I had my students go out, take a picture of something that they thought was a right triangle, then upload it to GeoGebra, and then prove or disprove that it's actually a right triangle. Now, that was the assignment. I told them, like, prove or disprove that it's actually a right triangle, and then what happened, like, my intention was for them to use, like, Pythagorean theorem, but, like, I was so amazed by all the different things that they did. I don't know if it's hard to see in here, they drew the little triangle in here, and then some students use slope, some students use the Pythagorean theorem, some students just measure the angles. So, like, with an example like this, it opens the opportunity for students to make connections, because I didn't tell them, prove that it's a right triangle by doing, like, X, Y, and Z. I just said, like, prove that it's a right triangle. Read what you know. So some students use, like this student use slope, some students use Pythagorean. Yes?
Can you show me how to change the background?
Okay, so like this was the idea. So what I had my students do was take a picture of something that they thought was a right triangle, and then what students will do is like save it to their desktop. So right now, anticipating this question, I have a picture in here. So this picture is already on my desktop. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to GeoGebra. I'm gonna go to GeoGebra Classic, and then I'm going to, you see the plus sign in here? I can add an image. So if I add an image, now I'm gonna browse it, and this is the image that I had already saved, yes.
Can you only do this in Classic?
No, you could do, I prefer to use Classic, but if you go on the regular GeoGebra, like the GeoGebra website, and you could also do it there. So I'm gonna click on the square, and now it's gonna upload it. I'm gonna hide this, and then now I have my square. And so one of the things that like at the beginning of like when I started doing a lot of tech tools, I would be afraid. I'm like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? What if they ask me? But like, don't be afraid to try this with your students. It comes very natural for our students. Like your students are like the best tech support that you could ever have. Once I have this picture in here, because they're so used to like Instagram and like everything else that they know how to figure things like this. So if I do right click, oh, maybe I'll do it here. So if I click on the three dots for the picture and I go over to settings, I can then make it a background picture. So now it's gonna be set in there. So now I can do work over the picture without having to move it around. Question?
Can you change the opacity or opacity of that?
I believe you can. Everything is on settings. There's the color. There you go. Another thing that is like so cool about GeoGebra is like sometimes you have questions like that. See, I haven't tried that, but then you look for it. I know it's gonna be on settings, and then if you ask that question to the class, I guarantee that your students will be able to do it. So like once my students had this, here's what you could do. You could start like placing some points, right? I'm gonna place a point here, maybe a point here, maybe a point here, and then what if I connect them with a line segment? So now I'm gonna go over to a line segment, and I'm gonna connect this point to that point, and then I'm gonna connect that point to that point, and then there you go. Now I have a little shape. And this for students, it's fun to do. Nothing against, like I don't have anything against like worksheets. I learned in Colombia using like lots of worksheets and whatnot, but like this, it brings the math to life. Because remember, they took this picture. So they're doing a picture of something that they found that they told it was cool, it was interesting. So this is like a simple idea that they could do. Any questions about this? You could do it for triangles, you could do it for parallelograms, you could do it for basically anything that you can imagine, right? Let me go back. I Alright, so that's one idea. Here's another example when students did parallelograms. So same instruction. I said like take a picture of something that you think is a parallelogram, upload it to GeoGebra, and now prove or disprove that it's actually this was a rectangle. So they created they showed the diagonals, and then they showed that the diagonals had the same midpoint. So it's very like it gives students like ownership over their learning, because now instead of doing like a worksheet with predetermined examples, they're kind of like creating their own, which is like very, very cool. And it's very engaging for students. And again, all you need, if your student, like I don't force my students to have a GeoGebra account, they can just go in here and then they can submit a screenshot, right? I usually have to submit a screenshot through our LMS, which is Canvas, or you could do Google Classroom or whatever it is. So it doesn't have to be specifically through GeoGebra. You could have them do the work in GeoGebra and then submit it however you want. I also recently, I've done this several times. Have you guys seen the Pringles Ringo? This is so much fun. If you haven't tried this, I tried with my daughters. So it turns out that with a can of Pringles, you can make a circle. It's like the coolest thing ever, right? So I've done it with my daughters, I've done it with my students, where they build the circle, and then guess what I have them do? Yes, after they do the circle, they have to write like kind of like the equation of best fit for that circle. You could do this within like a class period. I've done it in person, I've assigned it remotely. If you do it in person, have extra chips because students are gonna eat them. And then they're not gonna have enough to make the circle. So a big can is good to make the circle. There are a lot of tutorials in how to build it. After doing this a lot of times is, my advice is the thicker the base, the easier it is for it to make the circle, and then students will submit that. Another thing, allow your students to explore. When I'm doing something like this and they have to submit it, like I might do it for points, but for the most part, everyone's gonna get the points. Because I want them to like enjoy it and practice. I teach a lot of juniors. So like when it's their senior year, I have to do a lot of college reg letters, and I have this form where I say like, oh, what did you learn about this class? And like things like this are the things that they remember. Like I say, oh, I remember when we did the Pringles, it was so much fun. My equation was like almost a perfect fit. Another thing that it was good is in this class for pre-cal, when we did the circle, like some students like Rain kind of look like an ellipse. So they're like, oh, Mr. Valencia, like my circle equation is not that great. Oh, we need an ellipse, and that was the next counting section because we did parabolas, circles, then we were going into ellipses. So this is just like a natural progression of ideas. One thing that I absolutely love about GeoGebra is that you can look up resources. So let me go to, now, in terms of the resources, when I'm looking for a GeoGebra resource, a lot of times I'm looking for a resource to help my students visualize a concept, an idea, maybe explore an idea, or maybe to practice, maybe as a form of like formative assessment. So let me show you some ideas that I have in here. So with my college students, they were doing optimization, right? So if you haven't done college in a while, that is when, this is a classic problem, right? Students get a rectangular piece of like material, usually it's like metal or cardboard, and then they want to cut out little squares from the corners, and then they want to lift them up to make a box, right? So our goal is to maximize the volume of this box. So this is the classical problem. And then I found this applet on GeoGebra. Look at this. Like, tell me this doesn't blow your mind. Like, I was showing this to my students, they were like, what is happening right now? So this is your like piece of material, right? And these are the little squares that are being cut out. So this is showing you the relation of the material. Then here is the equation for the volume, and then right here is when my tangent line is 0, that is the maximum volume.
Okay, the question.
Question.
Because you waterproof everything. How you find it?
I'm about to show you. That was the next line. You have to give me a chance to like show them that you're like spoiling the surprise. I'm kidding. So notice when they're seeing this, they're seeing like 3 things in once, right? They're seeing, here's the material, here's the volume, and then why is it that the slope of the tangent line gives me the maximum volume? Now they can see it here. At this point, that is the maximum volume. Now, I didn't make this. I wish I knew how to do this. But this guy, Vincent, does. Now, you can find Vincent at Panlapon and on Twitter, on X. So and the only thing that I've seen about the GeoGebra community is like everyone is like so nice and like so happy to share. Like people have these things and they're like, oh, check this out. And then, so here's what I did. Oh, so in addition, students did this. Like they visualized this, and then the next day they were coming into class, and as they were coming into class, I gave them a piece of paper, printed paper. I was like, here you go. What is this for? I'm like, we're about to like maximize the volume of that piece of paper. So then, like all this lesson came to life to the point where the students had to create their own box, and then just to make it more fun, I said like, why don't you decorate? So they had to like create their Nicolation Nation. They had to like decorate the box. They found the maximum volume. So that way, it's like it creates this connection with the mathematics that they're learning, right? And if you think about it, how many people dislike math? When you share at the grocery store, at the doctor, like, oh, I teach math. What do you hear? Like, oh my God, I hated math. Why did they change math? Why is it so complicated now? Da, 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 da. So like with this, I feel like it creates this thing. So let me show you. Before you, we get another, I'm kidding. You can ask all the questions you want. So, let me go in here. So, if you go over to GeoGebra, right? So, right now I'm in GeoGebra and I'm on my account. I'm just going to write down. So, see, I was teaching optimization. I think that's what I looked up.
You type optimization.
Optimization.
You type the, so that's his, you type the panel. Yes, she did.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe balls? What do you call it, balls?
And then you can see, here you can see a little more.
And what's his GeoGebra? That's correct.
And then if you, this is the person that I got it from. So in here, you look up.
Wait, sorry, you lost me.
Let me
You
go
go
to
back to, I saw, we're typing in optimization. I didn't
optimization.
know what the name of that one was.
Optimization, hit enter, and then
Oh, more. Okay.
more, yes. It should be an activity. Do you see it? Did you find it?
Or you can say optimization box.
Optimization box. And there is,
Yeah, you post
He's
it.
fantastic. His stuff is fantastic.
that's the other thing. Once you start finding people who's like applets, you can follow them. Or you can like click on their name, and then you can find more things. Like for example, Tim, right? Tim is like a mega GeoGebra superstar. So like you could find his stuff, you could follow him. See, I'm already following him. And then you can see his material. Question.
How do you add it to your folder?
So how do you add it to your, that's a great question. So
I don't think anyone found the.
No, I haven't found it.
Yeah.
I typed in box and then more just came up.
let me
If
see.
it's
I know you know what you're looking for, but
Let me see. Station box maybe.
So I think what happens is sometimes when you find something and people create a lot of resources after it, it like gets filtered to the bottom. So you probably found it a while ago, which is why.
right.
But
Just go
Or
back.
what was the name
Go
of
back
it?
to the- go back to your presentation.
Let me
based on the, so can you give
Hey,
us?
no, it's not here.
Alright, give us the
Oh, it's
sixth
not in it.
character at the end of it, like the, let me see. So do you see, what is it at the end?
His original is not in English.
Of the
If you
link.
look at his name, you can find it.
Oh,
Down there. Down
Click
there.
on it.
Right there on the left.
Oh, it's in French. There you go. That's what we couldn't find it.
But if you go to the original, what's this, and in the URL, there's like 6 letters or numbers at the end of it, or
I mean this, oh, this is
That's
all the
how
way
you
on
find
top.
stuff, yeah. If you can't find it and you want a specific one, so every single GeoGebra has a unique 6-digit code. So if you can't find something, you always use the code, which
Oh, there is a code?
there is always a code, but I don't think.
Can we email it to people?
Yeah, you
Alright, let's email it to
he's gonna
people.
share it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to go through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
once you, let me go back. Let's say that you found box problem. Okay, so let's say that I found this applet that I want to save, right? So once you find something, if you look at the 3 dots, I want to make a copy of that activity. So once you find an activity that you like, if you go on the 3 dots on the upper right, you can copy activity. You get that?
And it shows on your.
Right, so I'm gonna make a copy, and then at that point you could change the name or not. Right now, this is copy of optimization box, which I'm okay with. So now I'm just gonna save and close. So I'm gonna save and close. So we found an activity, I went to the 3 dots, copy activity, and now when I go over to my profile, it should be there. Oh, thank God it's there.
Okay, is there a way to move it?
What if it wasn't there?
And then you move it.
Oh, okay, so
And then-
once it's there, we move it to the.
Right, so now that it's here, I'm gonna grab it and, for example, put it in my Lehman College folder. And then boom, it's there. Does that make sense? So once you find something that you like, the process is you go to the 3 dots, you copy activity, then it appears on your profile, and then you could just put it in the
Right.
folder that you want.
Okay, so I'm
I
also,
also point out also
Yes.
change the author's name. Your name will be first, and the
okay.
second person is the person who really created
created
it.
it, got it. Now, I'm also seeing that it says, I'm new to this, so
Yes.
bear with me. I see that it says assign.
That's GeoGebra Classroom. I'm gonna talk about that in the next session. Yeah.
That's fine, thank you.
So what will happen if we assign you? That's when you assign it to the class, so they can play with it.
It is complicated, so don't start.
Okay, no, that's okay.
All right, let me see. At this point, any questions? You having fun yet?
Yes.
We're having fun. Here's another activity that I recently did with my students. So in pre-calc, if you taught polar coordinates,
Excuse me, you have a daughter, you said?
I have a daughter. Yes.
So this is what you teach?
This, oh, this and more. So then, with my students, we were playing a game of Battleship with GeoGebra.
It's Barbie.
So I found this applet. This is another person. I don't know if you're on Twitter or not, but Daniel also. I think he's also
On Facebook.
on Friends, right? Like, are they both
He's
friends? Yeah,
French, yes.
he's amazing. Like the stuff that he puts in, that he creates is absolutely amazing. That I think that is the same account name for GeoGebra. So let me go and see. I'm gonna type in Battleship, and I hope that I can find it. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel bad. Alright, so I'm gonna do Battleship. I'm gonna cross my fingers, and there's a lot of Battleship stuff in here.
Especially by team.
Oh, Team does stuff like 3D. Alright, so here's Daniel. So here is the applet, polar coordinates in Battleship. This is available both in degrees and radians. I don't want to take credit for the radians because I didn't do it, but I asked him. I was like, oh man, like this is fantastic. Any chance you could do it in radians? And he was like, oh, give me some time. And then the next day he had it in radians. And then my students were able to use it. So let's say that I want to get to this, right? This, I want to hit this target. I think each one of this is going by 10 degrees. So if you remember in polar coordinates, you move r theta, where r is the radius and then theta is the angle. So right now, this is 360, 350, so I want to say 340. And then the darker circles go by 3, so this is 3, 6, 9, right? Is it 9? So I'm going to say the distance is 9. No, it's not 9, it's 15. 15, thank you, Mark. Thank God you're there, Mark. And then the angle is go. Oh wait, it's not 15.
Yeah.
12. Wait, 3, 6. Oh no, it is 9. Oh, there you go.
The labels are
Yeah, the label is like this 3. This 3 should be like all over here. And then they can practice. This was, so what I had my students do is, we did this, and then I had them like time each other. So they were playing a game, and the game was like, what's gonna be your time to hit 10 consecutive targets? And then like if I was playing with Mark took out his phone, and then he's like looking at my time of being hitting 10 targets, and then I play against him. So they weren't playing like each other, they were like timing each other. But I can tell you that when it was time to go, they'd be like, Valencia, can we stay another 5 minutes? Like, no, what are your class? I got another class coming in. They didn't want to stop playing because it makes it so interactive and so much fun. So here you go. This is what they were doing. I did it this week with one of my classes. They were engaged. You could see how they're like playing and timing each other. This is probably the best way I found to have students like practice floor coordinates, because they're very comfortable moving in the rectangle X and Y. But then R and theta, it takes a little time to adjust. So do it through a game. It's a lot of fun. Any questions? Or better say, like, what questions do you have? I swear to God, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Have you done that? When I say, like, whether it's like a remedial level class, a standard level class, or an advanced class, if you say any questions, should I have questions? Am I supposed to have questions? But when you say what questions do you have, we establish, right, that you're supposed to have questions. What are they? So what questions do you have? I don't speak fast, I'm sorry, like I'm from New York, and I got a lot of coffee just to make up for like arriving at midnight.
That's a question on the.
Question, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So looking at this one I've got it up here, is all this made strictly, it can't be strictly using GeoGebra, like you're obviously taking pictures and things, like what are the other programs or the other resources you're using to actually create this?
Don't try creating it. Just use it.
To be 100% honest, I don't like create my own applets. Most of the things that I use, because like as teachers, we're like time poor. Like I find things that are already made and then I adjust them. I'm like, oh, this could be good for. And a lot of times, like I don't know if you are on Twitter. A lot of times I see things on Twitter and I'm like, oh my God, this will be great when I'm teaching like whatever topic. I mean, an advantage of that I feel like I do have is that I thought algebra, geometry, algebra 2, trig, pre-calc, calc. So if you haven't had the opportunity, like try to teach like older classes, because it's like so transformational. Because I know that algebra students are coming in with this to geometry, and I know that they should be leaving with like this to go into algebra 2. So knowing where they're coming from and where they're going does help a lot. So to answer your question, I don't like really create
I'm in the same
applets.
boat. I'm in the same boat, by the way.
Yeah, so I find them, and always like when I use them, and if it goes well, a lot of times like I share them on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Mark, for sharing like X, Y, and Z. My students really liked it. I also have on my YouTube channel, I have Getting Started with GeoGebra. That was we had the online conference a couple of years ago. That's on my YouTube channel. You could also find it at Mr. Valencia 24. There are some like tech tutorials in there, and also some MathPlay materials.
I have a question.
Question, yes.
A series too, if you go, where you can have someone that's teaching how to make the.
Yes.
Right?
So there is also. Let me go back.
Yeah.
But trust me, like nothing you and I have put together, there's somebody like Tim already did it probably. Like whatever you're thinking about, like Tim has it already. So let me go to GeoGebra, and then I think it's on the bottom, right?
So you can use those, you see the thumbnails that are just showing up right now? If you have a question about using the calculators or anything like that, there's also a show all button. Those tutorials are
that's right,
great because you go into the book, there are directions and explanations for what makes this particular calculator different than others or other products. They have examples of you use the calculator and you can make something with, say, trig functions. But then there's also instructions on how to make it, written out step by step, and also an embedded applet, an embedded calculator. So you can stay on the same page, you follow the instructions, you do it, and the geometry calculator. You can actually just assign it straight in GeoGebra Classroom, which I'll show you later. And you can just watch your students filling out and following the tutorials step by step.
And anything you find in GeoGebra that other people made, you can open in the app, and then you can sort of look behind the curtain if you will. Like I've done that a lot. Like, how did that person make that?
Even the GeoGebra resources.
Yeah. So open up in the app, and you can see like, oh, they used a circle for that part. They used a segment for that part. They had a little bit of code in order to make that animation happen. So that's really helpful too.
Question, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, I was just wondering, as you introduce these GeoGebra activities to your students, have you given them an assignment that allowed them to be creative and they show you maybe some steps or activities that you may not have thought of?
For the most part, I've had them like show me, like I give them some choice in how they demonstrate mastery of their knowledge through GeoGebra as a platform.
Okay.
But I haven't had the opportunity. I feel like some of the computer science teachers in my school are doing things like that, where they're like creating things. But it's a different class. Like I'm teaching like pre-calc and calc. So I like giving using GeoGebra. Like show me that you understand the equation of a circle. And then through GeoGebra, they're gonna find a way to do that. But I haven't had them create like applets. But I know that computer science teachers in my school are doing that. Yeah. So it's possible, yes.
If I understand.
Go ahead.
I want to say that in Poland, we actually created a competition for students to create applets. So
Oh, wow.
We created a competition, so teachers have to actually create account, because with students, there's always the safety. Yes? So the teacher was submitting students' work, which was like it is different levels, and we have different questions. But the teacher has to teach a student GeoGebra, and this is amazing. But it's not in the regular class. Usually it was an after-school activity. Because in the class, usually you don't have enough time for students to learn GeoGebra and do something meaningful.
So while you were saying that, it came to mind that I found Guillermo on Twitter as well, and I know his students have created like some like 3D stuff. Where is the fan? Mark, you've seen the fan, right?
Oh, you should actually show this. She has some, I'm like snooping right here. She did this with her students, I guess. They did 3D design. in
Right.
GeoGebra. Yeah. I don't know. Can you like do like a little? Yeah. So this is using the. She would use HDMI. I don't know. Can you just like turn it for people to see? Like I don't know if you guys have seen the augmented reality, which is awesome. I don't know if we're over that yet or something different. That's fine. But yeah, so that's actually a GeoGebra app. That students made that.
Either phone or a tablet.
Yeah.
You need stuff on your phone.
Phone, tablet, or.
So
Right.
the students capturing a PE teacher in their three-dimensional cylinder with a ton on top.
Yeah.
But
And he brings the math to life.
Toblerone bar from
Oh, yeah.
Tibbetts.
Nice.
Yeah, and we've done that too, so I bought a case of
Yeah,
Toblerone
the
bars.
Did you eat them?
If anyone's really interested in any of the AR stuff, I think we have videos from previous years where we, so reach out to me. I have videos that show how to do it.
You can go to geogebra.org/AR.
That's you.
No, go to the Florida GeoGebra.
So thank you so very much. Thank you.